Wycliffe. Musical performances by Greg Wycliffe. A bunch of other stuff too long to list here by Greg Wycliffe. Announcing Greg Wycliffe. Tonight's special guest, Marc Emery. We're stuck inside, live in Toronto. Ladies and germs, it's Quarantine Tonight. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday and happy 420. Welcome to Quarantine Tonight. Thank you so much for making it out. I guess you didn't make it out. I guess none of us did. I guess we're all stuck inside together. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but I am so tired of talking to cameras and screens. But thankfully, after this show, I'm going to take a break and play some video games. We have a fantastic show for you tonight, folks. There's live music by myself truly. It's a song, yours truly, myself truly. Anyway, I have an original acoustic song that I'll be debuting at the end of the show. I have a Corona quiz game, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'll be mixing it up with the chat, my imaginary friends there later on. And Marc Emery is here tonight. Marc Emery, the Prince of Pot. I can only assume on 420 that he's over-medicating. I hope he is. We're going to be checking in with him to see how he's doing. And we're going to talk about the inevitable future of sex robots and what that entails for the future. So stay tuned for that. And I want to be clear, folks. We aren't going to talk about politics on this show. Okay, we are not. We're just not going to talk about politics. Okay, like it's the state has just told us to stay inside, and that's what we're going to do. Okay, we're not going to talk about politics, guys. Why would that be relevant, man? Let's just stay inside and watch Netflix, bro. Let's just collect our government checks, bro. Like, that's all right, okay? But I do want to give a quick hello to everybody in chat. You guys are my imaginary friends because, I'm pretending you're here with me. And I know that you're actually there. You are there in a sense, but at the end of the day, I'm just some jackass talking to inanimate objects. You know what I mean? I'm just looking at this bright screen and this little camera lens. So it's not at all making me crazy. I'm just saying. But please, I also do like to talk to my imaginary friends. So leave a comment down in chat. And yeah, if you want to make sure, I'm going to look through for the best comments and best questions. I'll be answering questions in the lounge later on. If you want to make sure that I see your comment, do a super chat. You really be helping me out. I've been living off of mostly just a diet of pogos. So any amount of money would be nice for that filet mignon, the frozen kind that you get in the frozen food section. I'm eyeing that right now. But yeah, I want to talk to you guys. We'll be doing that at the end of the show. And if you do a super chat, we will guarantee that your comment or that your question gets addressed by myself. But guys, we're here to have fun. We're stuck inside. We're realizing how much we hate our spouse or our roommate, and we want to have fun here on Quarantine Tonight. We want to up the spirits because you know what? There's a lot of positives that I'm finding from this whole Corona crisis. For example, my hands have never been so clean. Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm breaking a masturbation record that I held back in high school. A personal best, a PB, if you will. It's another positive. And also I'm consistently grocery shopping again. Okay. A week before the lockdown happened, before they closed the NHL and everybody freaked out, I was getting some groceries. I thought this is going to be crazy, guys. I've just collected enough sustenance to last me a couple weeks. This is great. I'm preparing myself. I'm preparing myself for this apocalypse that might happen, I thought. I wonder what my mom would think. And then I thought, you know what? She would say, Greg, you're just grocery shopping. That's what grocery shopping is. You buy food for a week or two that you live off of and you cook at home. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But that's a positive, cooking at home, doing that more often, which is great. What other positives? I don't know. Developing nearsightedness and a mild sleep condition. That's also another positive from this virus. I mean, there's just so many positive things going on today. And, how are you doing, right? People ask, how you doing? Are you staying safe? How you doing? I saw a meme that's like, when you say okay, that means you're barely holding it together. I just say, I don't know now. That's what I say. How you doing? I don't know. I've been inside for a long time. My whole career has gone sideways. How am I doing? How are we doing? Yeah. Fantastic. Not going to talk about politics. Not going to do it. Not going to talk about politics. But people, I'm talking to my friends and they keep talking about the news. I am avoiding news like the plague. Yes, it's hilarious. But my friends are looking at the news. The numbers are going up and up and up and up and up. There's more deaths. There's more infections. Did you see how many more infections there were? Are the numbers going down yet? Let me refresh. Oh, well, this place has a lot more. The USA is really doing well. Oh my God, what does that mean for me? What's going to happen? There's so much uncertainty right now, folks. And guess what? Watching the news is just going to remind you of that. How so much is out of your control. But no, my dad is still compulsively watching the CNN, getting programmed. Orange man bad. It's very deep, insightful stuff. It's the most trusted name in news, don't you know? You got to stay informed. You got to know precisely how many people died today. That's what we need to know as human beings. That's the only way that we can get through our day, with the knowledge of knowing how many people dropped dead. But we're having fun tonight on this show. We're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to do that. No, we're going to have fun. We're going to try and focus on keeping light of the situation, and having a great time, because that's what Quarantine Tonight is all about. If you're just tuning in, I am your host, Greg, for Quarantine Tonight. There's going to be live music at the end of the show. I'll be hopping into chat. So make sure you type some questions in there, especially if it's a super chat. I will definitely see it. And we're going to have the Corona quiz up next. But before that, I'm going to do a YouTube highlight of a video I made recently about these celebrities. I don't know what these celebrities are doing, but they're not okay. I don't think they're okay. When they don't have like their PR people around them, when they don't have their handlers around them, when they don't have like something to do, someone stroking their ego, they go on social media and their true colors come out, and it's not pretty. You may have seen a little weird viral video about a bunch of, I believe her name is Gal Gadot, and there's a whole bunch of other people, and they're at their mansions, and they're singing a very shitty rendition of John Lennon's Imagine. And we're in this together, folks. We're all in this together. You're in a nice, lavish, luxurious mansion, and I'm stuck in this tiny apartment, but we're in this together. I have my doctor on call and my own personal videographer and lighting team with me, but we're in this together. Anyway, I did a parody of that video. Here it is, and we'll talk to you soon. Imagine I was poor, makes me wanna cry. No maids below me, taking public transit all the time. Imagine ugly people breathing my space. Ooh. Imagine there was no Whole Foods and not owning a house or two. No guards or gates to protect me. No accountants or lawyers too. Imagine dirty people living on my street. You may say I'm just some rich actor, acting like I care about everyone. But maybe someday you'll realize my virtue signaling saves everyone. Imagine we were equals. With Disney magic, you can. No greed or hunger for money. Please buy my new lotion product for your hands. Imagine if I made every crisis all about me. You may say I'm just some elitist because I care about everyone. Maybe someday you'll realize my virtue signaling saves everyone. You're welcome, world. Love is love. Hey everybody, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that. It is now time for the Corona Quiz. There's 5 questions, and my imaginary friends, I want you to participate as well. I will go through them. They're multiple choice, not to worry. Make sure you put your answers in chat there. There will be no prizes, not in this economy. Are you kidding? But I do need to say, before I go into this, I actually did need to make sure that all the information was state approved. So there were some alterations that need to be made to the quiz. I think you'll know what I mean. But anyway, let's get into the Corona Quiz. Question number 1. What was the precise origin of the virus COVID-19? Was it A, created by the U.S. military and released in Wuhan, China? Was it B, created in a Canadian lab, then patient 0 traveled to Wuhan, China? Was it C, redacted? Or D, bat soup? Put in your answers, lock them in. Of course, the answer is C, bat soup. We all know that. There is absolutely no question about that, okay? That is the information. We know it. Don't question it, folks. On to question 2. Okay, great. What's the best thing Canadians can do to deal with the COVID-19 crisis? What is the best thing Canadians can do to deal with the COVID-19 crisis? Remember to lock in your answers, folks. Is it A, wash your hands and don't criticize the Liberal government? Is it B, stay 2 meters apart from one another and don't criticize the Liberal government? Is it C, only leave your home for essentials like groceries and don't criticize the Liberal government? Or is it D, criticize the Liberal government, then suspiciously disappear? It, of course, is C. Only leave your home for essential services like groceries. This is supposed to be the new normal, folks, when it comes to social distancing and washing your hands. That's secondary. We don't want you to leave your house. That is the priority here. So, yeah, I hope you got that one right. I hope you're doing well on the quiz so far. Question number 3. How can you spot misinformation online or in the media when it comes to COVID-19? How can you spot misinformation about COVID-19? This is the Corona Quiz, folks. Is it A, if the information comes from a source other than the CBC? B, you can tell if the information comes from a source other than CTV or Global News? Is it C, the information comes from a source other than Liberal government officials? Or is it D, all of the above? Lock those answers in, folks. Of course, the correct answer is D, all of the above. You can only know information is reliable when it comes from these sources. It's very, very simple. Okay, question number 4, also having to do with misinformation. What should you do when you spot someone spreading misinformation about COVID-19? What should you do when you spot someone spreading misinformation about COVID-19? Do you A, publicly shame them and call them a crazy, stupid conspiracy theorist? Do you B, start a whisper campaign on social media to discredit them and their reputation to friends and coworkers? Alert the authorities and attempt to have them thrown in jail? Or D, all of the above? Make sure you lock in your answers. This is a tough one. The answer, of course, is D, all of the above. You must do all of those things. Do all of those things if you see anyone spreading misinformation about COVID-19, okay? That is the state-approved information. That's the answer, guys. That's what you need to do, okay? It's very simple. It's very simple. Final question. This is a good one. This is actually a true or false question. So pay attention. Be very careful on this one. Question 5 of the Corona quiz. The World Health Organization is a competent, high-functioning organization that is effective, truthful, trustworthy, and deserving of millions upon millions of dollars from developed nations around the world. Is it A, true, or B, redacted? I'll give you a moment to lock in your answers. As a reminder, B has been redacted, so that is not a option at this point. So make sure you make the choice of which one you think is correct. I'll give you a moment. The answer is A, of course. Of course, the World Health Organization, we praise them. They are the most trustworthy organization. They are a subsidiary or affiliate with the United Nations, who we also love. We also love the United Nations as well. It's so great. And they are just so trustworthy. And all the millions of dollars that are sent to them is definitely used in such a great way. I mean, there's so many experts when it comes to virology and, stopping a potential pandemic. And they clearly did all the things they were supposed to. Absolutely, without a doubt. And it's not like they were tweeting misinformation themselves in January, talking about COVID-19 not being able to go from person to person just because the Chinese authorities said that was the case. Thank you so much for playing the Corona quiz. I hope you had fun with that. I sure did. I sure had a lot of fun with that. Oh, man. Oh, that's great. Anyway, we are going to head over to the Quarantine Time desk and catch up with my special guest tonight, Marc Emery, for 420. But first, a quick message from our sponsors.
Our business has the most reliable customer service. Let me tell you, our technology
15 minutes or less could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Yo, like, screw all the haters. You know what I mean? Like screw them.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the desk of Quarantine Tonight. And without further ado, here's our special guest for 420, Mr. Marc Emery.
Yay!
Come on down, Marc. Come on down. Great to have you here. So, how has quarantine been for yourself?
Well, when you're airing this on April 20th or thereabouts, I've been inside 40 days. Now, I have gone for walks, went to the Loblaws, But Toronto in April is just not a very nice city if everything's closed down. The reason people live in cities is so they can go to concerts, go to plays, go to baseball games, hockey games, basketball games. If you don't get to go to stuff, the city has no charm. So if you can't go and do stuff and go to restaurants or what this city is famous and useful for, you've just got an expensive apartment in a big urban, right now, ghost town.
Yeah.
And that's a lot tougher than if I was living in Owen Sound or the Muskokas.
Yeah. And
so, for me, 40 days inside is enough. I think it's going to be an economic catastrophe. I think we're going to see 5 to 7 years of extremely difficult times worldwide. We're going to see hundreds of thousands, probably millions and millions of people die from suicides, depression, starvation, poverty, hunger. I'm sure we're going to have millions of women and men driven into prostitution around the world. No, it's just cataclysmic. I mean, we're going to go through something we've never experienced before, and that's why everybody is largely supportive of this government, because they don't understand the consequences of what's happening.
I love to have you on the show. You always have such a positive outlook on what's going on, though it's very realistic and it's very refreshing to hear that. And I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a lot of people out there, and it hasn't
for
really...
the first time in my lifetime, though, I'm not sure there's anything positive to be anticipated in the next year or 2 or 3. That's why you and I were talking about the sex robots or the sex bots, because intimacy has virtually become outlawed. How is anybody supposed to get a new sexual partner in these times when you have to social distance and quarantine yourself?
That was going to be one of my questions, Mark.
They say the new normal might be, social distancing for years, right?
For years?
Well, I'm not sure I even want to live in a society like that. I almost feel like Edward G. Robinson's scene at the end of Soylent Green is how I'm going to go out, because the whole idea of living in sort of a desensitized, dehumanized, controlled, robotic existence means we may as well have robots.
So are you looking forward to your femoid robo wife, or?
No, I'm just saying that's the inevitability.
Right.
Is that we're going to have robots replacing these humans. Since humans can get pathogens, it's going to make more and more sense for Shoppers Drug Mart and all these other places to be fully automated. McDonald's, you name it. All of them have robots. The robots won't be sensitive to pathogens. They will never show up sick. They will never make mistakes. They will do exactly what they're told, which is what humans don't do very well. But this extends into all sphere. Like, we're not allowed to have people over to our house anymore. We're not allowed to walk with them on the street. We can't play sports anymore. So the whole idea of a humanoid replica, or a replica of a human inside your environment, will never give you a pathogen, will never give you a hard time. Theoretically, if you program right, shouldn't be able to kill you.
It's just like Blade Runner. It's exactly like Blade Runner.
We're getting to that point, though. We're getting there. We're only 5 to 12 years away
Well,
from that.
I think we're getting from the point of needing it, but in terms of the technology, I don't think the technology is going to be there for quite some time.
Oh no, it's absolutely going to be there. And the reason
robots walking around? I haven't seen any robots walking around yet.
Cohabiting with people, talking to them. The only thing that a robot won't be able to do very well, or a humanoid creature, is a sense of humor. A sense of humor is spontaneous, quirky, unpredictable, and really based on the personality of the person making a remark or making a gesture. Robots will have a very difficult time understanding nuance like that, but they will be really good at sharing knowledgeable information. For example, if I
would say that's actually all they're good at. I think that's all they're good at right now, in terms of, I can ask Alexa an interesting question and sometimes she gives me an interesting answer. I love my wiretap. I mean, my Alexa. It's a very great thing to have in the household. But I think it's going to be quite some time until we can actually have a enjoyable conversation that replicates actual human interaction. Don't get me wrong. The rapport that I have, the rapport that I build with my fleshlight, my girlfriend right now, for example, is a strong rapport in that element of my life. But the rapport of having a conversation with a robot spitting out facts, I really don't think that's going to happen for quite some time.
Yeah, but the advantages are too numerous. They can do the laundry. They can do washing. They can converse with you. They can jog with you if they're really good.
Mark, you're talking about Blade Runner.
Yes.
Yeah, but
it's coming.
We're not. Yeah, it's coming, but I don't think the technology is there. I think the need is becoming happening now.
But you know the phrase, necessity is the mother of invention. We've got a million.
I agree, but I think
millions of people who are going to be told for years they can't get near people, but they want companionship, and they want sex, and they want to do stuff together, and they want to go to restaurants.
I think it will be interesting if
is not human essentially, but behaves like a human,
right?
Because the government's going to outlaw humanity, and literally that's what they're doing right now. They've outlawed humanity. They say it's temporary, but I don't believe that. They're telling us it could go on for years. And the thing is, next year there'll be another pathogen, like there always is. There's a new pathogen every year. And the worst thing we can do is do this hysterical overreaction, destroy our civilization, to save some elderly. Largely it's elderly. Sure, some young people with pre-existing conditions occasionally show terrible symptoms or even die. But it's so rare that every time somebody under 45 dies, you can read about it because it's such an unusual event with COVID-19.
I do have some quarantine questions for you. What is, to get it more positive here, what's one good thing that you found out of this quarantine or lockdown phase? Is there anything positive that you're seeing from this situation or through your own personal experience?
No. I mean, I'm having a pleasant enough time, especially considering it's 40 days inside. And I have been 6 years in prisons, 39 different ones. So I'm kind of used to being isolated. And the food's better here. And the TV's way better. And I get to choose it. I don't have to fight with 35 guys whom I know I'm going to lose the argument with. So, there are advantages to what I would call house arrest now. Now, under house arrest, normally you get to go to work and you can visit your family and stuff like that. So this has got a few less privileges than house arrest because we can't go to work. We can't see our family.
Right.
And we're not supposed to have visitors, which you can get in prison, but that's, but on the other hand, it's familiar. I can jerk off with relative privacy. The food is better. But you know what? 40 days is almost enough. And I'm just grateful I don't have 3 children in the house with me, driving me crazy.
Absolutely.
Right? Because that's something a lot of guys would find hard to take. Heck, a lot of women would find that hard to take. And we live in Canada, so the anarchy and the mayhem and the food riots and the looting may never come, or it may come later than most places where it's already happening.
Right. Yeah, I think right now, especially right now, if you talk to a lot of, regular Canadians, they're just enjoying themselves right now. They're enjoying it. And I say, like you were saying, enjoy it while you can. Enjoy it while you can.
That's right. Because they're going to have years of regret when their kids can't get jobs, when they can't get jobs, when they can't pay their mortgage, when their equity collapses and their pension funds pay no interest or dividends, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of pain for everybody to go around, not to mention the government's printed up so much money that your currency is going to be devalued considerably, which hurts everyone. Hence the inflation we're going to see with food. We won't see it with accommodation, though, because the housing market's going to collapse.
And do you have any predictions in terms of when we'll be let out, when we'll be able to go back outside and not fined for being within 2 meters of somebody else?
Well, when you look at the prime minister, it's like that won't happen until next year. And we've already had hundreds of people getting fines here in Toronto for breaking those laws. And their fines are incredible, like $1,000. Are you out of your mind?
That's crazy, yeah.
$1,000 is like a person's wage for 2 weeks in the normal world. I mean, so this idea that somehow, you were too close, here's $1,000. Hey, fuck you. What is that? That's crazy bullshit. That's police state. That's like completely over the top kind of fines. That should be like an $85 fine.
So what is the number one thing that you miss right now? Only one thing. I know there's a lot you probably miss right now being in quarantine. What is one thing?
No, I miss my girlfriend.
Aww.
Yeah, my girlfriend. It's the only thing I really miss.
Yeah. One more topic I wanted to get on. You mentioned earlier tonight that you were having some weird kind of, I want to say censorship. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but you said on your Facebook page you were getting thought policed, possibly, for sharing the wrong information, false
I did put this
information.
just on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook now, but I'm a bit suspicious. I got an email, but when you track back where the email came from, it doesn't seem like a legitimate Facebook source.
Interesting.
So anyway, but we'll know. But also I've had 4 1-month suspensions from Facebook in the past that sort of arrived in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like 1 month suspensions. I've had several 3-day suspensions for bizarre stuff.
Yeah.
Like one time I criticized the lousy pot at a government store, 3-day suspension.
What? Hold on.
That's what I mean.
Hold on. You just criticized the quality of marijuana.
Yeah, and the fact the price and the quality of the government's legal marijuana.
Right.
And they tell you which one they're referencing. When they tell you why you're being banned, they show you the one, and it's always basically some algorithm that doesn't really have any oversight or any human.
Right.
And because it's only 3 days, it's not worth your while complaining.
Right.
Now, this one says they're permanently deleting my page as of like Tuesday because of some fake news I spread about COVID-19.
Yeah.
But since the government itself was spreading fake news recently, like, oh, masks are no good, flights from other countries don't hurt us, the government itself was giving out fake news for COVID-19.
Yep.
So
Yep.
what makes anything I said fake news? Whatever. Anyway, we'll see. I've already let people know.
Did you see that little CBC video where the older woman's on her phone? She's like, hey, if your uncle or dad is sending you weird misinformation from a strange website,
I know.
make sure you tell them to shut the hell up about it.
How to straighten
in a
them
nice
out,
way.
How to straighten your family out when there's... I know,
Yeah.
I literally saw that. How to straighten your family out. In other words, they're appealing to the obedient sheep.
Which seem to be so abundant in Canada. I gotta say, I can't believe, like, even
The
sometimes my own
government's smart.
parents.
They're sending out, $200 billion in free money. Free money, that's such a joke.
Yeah,
Free
money.
Money that kids will have to pay for the rest of their life.
I have hope that we can still turn this country around. As you know, I ran for the PPC back in the fall. You were actually, last time I saw you in real life, actually, you were helping me out, holding one of my signs during my campaign, which was great.
That was a good time.
And
but of course, what a futile thing, eh?
Yeah, but I think even before we get into like the actual politics, didn't want to talk about politics, but here we are. I think the challenge even before that is, like you said, kind of like sheepish Canadians afraid to speak or even really get into a significant conversation where they're speaking out against the, our daddy governments who are now, giving us our little quarantine salaries. And I really respect you because I feel like you're an activist for all the right reasons. There's a lot of activists these days who are, I feel like they might just be doing it for attention or because they're bored. But, with marijuana for yourself, you've been doing it since the get-go because you're like, this is something I believe in and this is how I'm going to be effective.
Is a person who's willing to sacrifice something for a greater value that's not necessarily something he benefits by. So, for example, if I hold a rally and I want to have a rally that gives me some kind of privilege or money or special position, that's not activism. But if you're willing to go to jail, if you're willing to give up money, if you're willing to give up your time and effort for a cause that's greater than yourself and that is purely liberational as opposed to punitive. Because a lot of people protest for things like, oh, we want more money because we're poor, or we need more money for this shelter, or we need to do this, or my union needs to stop other people from getting our jobs. That's not activism. That's self-centered interest.
Interesting.
Right? That's, in a negative way, you could say that's selfish. In a positive way, you can say it's self-centered. So they're doing something to enrich themselves in an obvious way. But the people who defend prisoners, the people who defend, human rights and justice, the people who go to bat for people with less privilege than them, whereby they don't stand to gain anything, that's an activist. Or someone who's willing to sacrifice of themselves. Or, I like to think that going to jail, I've gone to jail 39 times for cannabis, 1 time for Sunday shopping. I've been convicted of other things that I thought were important matters of justice.
Sunday
and to
shopping?
me, that's how you prove you're an activist.
Sunday
By
shopping?
going to jail.
Sorry, what's Sunday shopping?
Oh, I went to jail for 5 days as a punishment for opening my store in the 80s. My bookshop, City Lights Bookshop in London, Ontario.
Wow.
And I actually got convicted of 8 separate different kinds of violations.
Interesting.
The one I went to jail for, though, was dressing up as Santa Claus the day before Christmas and giving $10 worth of books away free to every customer and not selling them anything. I wanted to prove that you could get charged an offense for being Santa Claus the day before Christmas. And I successfully proved that, got convicted, and went to jail.
Proved a point.
That was
prove a point.
That was December 24, 1986.
Mm-hmm.
I was charged there. Those laws collapsed shortly after. I take some credit for that.
I gotta ask you about there's a lot of people talking about the dangers of COVID-19 in corporate or in incarceration inside of jails and institutions. And for somebody who's been inside jails and institutions, 39 different ones, what is your take on this? For me, on one hand, I'm thinking, well, these people are already on lockdown, but
well, 50 in the United States, 56 inmates have died, and a number of staff have died also.
Wow.
Several hundred inmates are currently affected by COVID-19. Now, I have lots of inmates call me all the time, guys I was with in prison. I encourage them to call me.
Right.
And my friend Terry in Ayer, Massachusetts says there are no COVID cases there, and everybody's health seems good. They've all been locked down. But the BOP, in a rather generous act, gave every inmate 500 free phone minutes. Free meaning, they don't have to pay for them. And that's a real bonus for a lot of inmates. A lot of them can't even afford 300. You normally only get 300 minutes a month. That's 10 minutes a day in phone calls, and you have to pay for them. And they're quite expensive in the prison system. So the Bureau of Prisons in the United States says, while visitations are not allowed, they will all get 500 minutes a month phone, which is a tremendous bonus for many inmates. And so it's good that the BOP is trying to kind of balance the restrictions with a bit of extra contact with friends and family back home during a sensitive time when a lot of people's family, are nervous about this pathogen. So I'm not a big believer in incarceration, but you know what? When people talked about solitary confinement being inhumane and cruel and unusual, it is if you get sent away for years. But no prison would be safe if all the worst people were not in some way isolated in solitary. And I found that the prisons I was in, 6 of them in the U.S., were very fair about, and I went to solitary twice for things that I wasn't responsible for, and that investigations later found not to be true. And so I was kind of like put in solitary for a month for no legitimate reason. But I was also grateful that the psychopaths, the killers, the people who would use violence or coercion or steal, those people would be put into solitary, and they could be put into solitary for 6 months, 9 months, a year. And most everybody was pretty grateful about that, because most prisoners just want to do the right thing while they're in the prison, get their time done, and get back out, probably to fuck it up again. But that's not their intention. They don't want to fuck up. It's just very difficult to get out of prison unemployed. You have burned a few bridges. You don't have any money. It's not like people are dying to hire felons, right? So, and especially in this environment, if I was in prison, I'm not sure I'd want to get out. You're not going to have a job. Your family's going to be kind of poor because they're all going through a hard time. And at least in prison, you get 3 meals a day. You get to go out to the yard. Wow. Got a routine. You might even be learning some skills there, like HVAC and welding and stuff like that. So, there are some advantages to people with. I used to play music with a lot of good musicians in prison, guys with incredible talent, geniuses. Yeah. But unfortunately, a lot of them get fucked up on alcohol and drugs. So you put them out in a milieu of hopelessness and desperation in a period of unlikely employment, when they've got to report to a parole officer, live at halfway houses, get a lot of pressure from their family, and they could easily lapse by getting drunk or taking some drugs. So you know what? If you give these prisoners a chance to get out early, and it's like 5 years, yeah, they would agree to that. Get out now. But if it was like 6 months, I'd almost think, I'll wait till this passes. Thank you. I'll do my 6 months here. No rush, right? Because you don't want to get out during a pandemic where there's absolutely no likelihood of you getting a job. And for that matter, a lot of people, when they're released, early, they have to get a job as part of their requirement. So if that's not available, it's just going to be endlessly frustrating for them.
Interesting. Thanks for your perspective on that. When Bill Gates comes up with his injection, what's it called again? Vaccine. Are you going to take it?
Yeah, for sure. Vaccines for me have been very useful. Now, I travel to a lot of countries. I don't do a lot of vaccines. I don't get hepatitis A and B. I don't get a number of them because I'm assessing the risk to me. But some stuff like yellow fever or Zika, which is in a lot of the countries I go to.
Right.
And, they've largely eradicated a lot of problems with dengue, Zika by those vaccines, right?
Right.
So to me, I look at what works, what doesn't work, and mosquitoes love me. So, I face a very stark choice because I go to a lot of equatorial places like South Africa, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador. Okay. And there's a lot of mosquitoes in places. And so, and they're likely to, and you need, for example, to go to South Africa from South America, you need a yellow fever vaccine and proof of it too, because South Africa won't let anybody in who hasn't got a vaccine for yellow fever. So these are things you have to think about when you're traveling. You might not be totally 100% sold on vaccines, but on the other hand, you can't go certain places without them.
Would you say when it comes to COVID-19, you would get it because you're technically in like a higher risk because of your age, or like if you were younger, would you get it?
There's a ton of vaccines you should get at my age. You should get a shingles vaccine. I had chicken pox when I was young. Anybody who has chicken pox, and that's a virus, right?
Right.
Anybody who's ever had chicken pox still retains that virus in their body. And late in life, it can come out as a very painful form of herpes on the body. And it's very painful. I even knew a guy who killed himself because he couldn't take the pain.
Wow.
And so he shot himself with his gun. He was 78, but still, there's a shingles vaccine out. Now, you might still get shingles after the vaccine, but it'll be a more muted, less painful addition. And there's other vaccines to take. And so you have to think about them. Now, if the people don't want to have a vaccine, that's fine. To me, you're doing your kids a disservice by not getting some for them. But that's the thing about letting people be parents. They get to make stupid decisions because that's their right, and we say, well, it's child abuse. Listen, as long as they're not making the kid do puberty blockers or having their breasts lopped off or some kind of weird shit that's permanent.
Amen to that.
Before they're 18, people get to make these decisions. Parents get to be parents. Even crazy Mormon parents, religious parents, cult parents, Muslim parents. You've got to give parents a certain amount of rights or they can't parent, right? And for egregious examples of violence against children or abuse against children, the state has a role to intervene. But we've got to give parents a lot of leeway in what they do. I even say, even when they get the crazy Jehovah's Witnesses and they don't like blood transfusions and their kid dies, I'm going, well, this is their deal they made with God. It seems stupid to me. It seems ridiculous to you. Their child might have died because they're idiots. But did they do a criminal act? Do they have mens rea of a criminal act? No, they don't. They really believe this is what their God wants. Stupid as it is, right? It's what we allow people to decide as parents, as adults who are guardians over children. Because the alternative is that the state is going to be the guardian. And the state's a terrible guardian of us all, let alone children.
Right.
So
you think our rights as Canadians, are they going to slowly be taken away under the guise of this COVID-19
they come and go.
Or?
They ebb and flow. Rights are active and they're vibrant and they live as long as people are willing to defy the state, go to court and make a case and arouse public either
support,
consensus or support, or the public rejects that. And, young people today have different priorities. I dare say, unfortunately, worrisome priorities, about pronouns, but not much about liberty. about a lot of them want to be famous on social media, and it's not really a job, but that's how they think of a job. Getting people to pay them to do something on social media, boy, they're going to be disappointed.
You saw the toilet seat licking, right?
Yes, but you never know if that's real or not. Like whether that was staged. That could have been the toilet in their own bathroom and perfectly clean. That she made it look like it was on an airplane.
But the point still stands. It's like, hey, look at me. I'm young. I'm going to be famous. This is why I'm spending my time doing this. Yeah.
Well, that's gone because what was there? 1 million, 2, 3, 4, 5 million women, basically showing their body off.
Yeah.
In these, there's millions of women showing how gorgeous they are and hoping that they get a Patreon account or some kind of like
OnlyFans. It's called
OnlyFans. I love that OnlyFans account. And the thing is, whenever I see these women, if I see any woman that looks too attractive as trying to be a friend on Facebook, I go to their page always, and I look, and it's always, a sex page of some kind. Goodbye. Right.
No e-girls. I hear you. So I should have asked this earlier. You're someone who's been in confinement before. Any advice for people who are in confinement? Like, have you picked up any new hobbies?
Well, here's the thing about prison. You know when you're going to get out. That's the funny thing about this. We don't know when we're going to fucking get out.
Right.
It's like being sentenced to an indefinite prison sentence. That's maddening. In other words, the state can renew my prison sentence whenever it feels like it, and I have no say. At least when I went to jail, it was for 3 months for passing a joint, which is true in Saskatoon Correctional. I got a 3-month sentence for passing a joint. Or it's 7 days, or it's overnight, or in my case, 5 years in the United States. I knew when I was going to get out and it would be over, right? But here we're like under indefinite house arrest and we don't know when it's going to be over. That to me is the frustrating part. I can't make any plans. I can't do anything.
Right.
I don't know when anything is going to start up again. Everybody I need to do business with is closed, from Passport Canada to Services Canada to all the people I do business with. It's all closed, so I can make no plans.
Yeah.
No one knows anything about when any of us are opening. So you sit here waiting.
So much uncertainty. Uncertainty.
Wrong movie. But essentially, a prison sentence at least has an ending.
Right. So your frustrations right now, I mean, as this situation develops, are you hoping to have any form of activism to hold certain people accountable, or like?
Well, I'd like to ideally run in the next election for the PPC, but I'm not sure they'd take me as a candidate because although last time I really enjoyed the PPC campaign because they let each candidate formulate their own drug policy, which I thought was great. Right? I'm sure there's a few anti-drug prohibitionist voices in the PPC, but most people contacted me wanted to know what the proper advice was about legalizing drugs or prisons or cannabis, and I gave them my opinion, and many of them said that in their campaign. No other party will let you do that. Everybody has to be a trained SEAL for the NDP, Liberals, Conservatives, and the Greens. You can't go around making up your own drug policy. Yeah, but our people were allowed to say, no, I think all drugs should be legal. Or other people were free to say, no, I don't think we should be doing that at all. Yeah. Right? So I like the fact that Maxime Bernier, at no point in the campaign did I ever hear him tell any candidate, that's too off the wall, that's out of the question, that's around, beyond the pale. Yeah. Now, typically we attracted good candidates who didn't really have any kooky ideas and who liked the script that we were given. And I did too. I thought the campaign was great. I love Max Bernier. I think 100% behind him. I can't suggest any improvements, anything about the guy I don't like. I thought it was an awesome campaign. I thought Warren Kinsella and the conservative slander campaign was shockingly unethical.
It was shockingly effective.
I could never, ever support the Conservative Party in any way whatsoever, ever again.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot in that campaign. And, all campaigns are the same. Everybody's incredibly ignorant. Policy is rarely discussed. It's all about stupid. It's all, and you were a candidate. It's totally discouraging.
I didn't know going in, but I learned all about it.
Oh, it's a terrible process.
Let me talk to you about policy. Get out of here, you racist scum.
Yeah,
and it's
oh my God. You're the only person I've ever been with where someone yelled at me in a restaurant and called me a sexist, racist piece of shit. And I held you responsible, Greg Wycliffe, for that. No, actually, it was me. I was talking loudly, but not about anything that I thought was remotely offensive. And yet we had that whole bar upset.
It was
why? Because
yeah.
in elections, people are all fucking hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like, they hate that guy and they love this guy, and none of it's rational. None of it makes any sense.
We were having fun. I remember we were having fun. We were having a fun conversation, and
yes. And we managed to piss off everybody.
And it was a drive-by insult, by the way, to paint a picture for everybody. We're at a bar. It's later on Bloor Street. We're talking about some fun stuff. Obviously, the campaign's going on, so we're talking about like political stuff. And then these two elder women as they're walking out. I wouldn't say elder, but like maybe 40s, 50s, and they're just like, "We heard what you were saying. You're a racist, sexist, and piece of shit." The trifecta.
And then the one guy walks out. He gives the thumb. He goes, "White power, yeah."
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking, what the fuck are you talking about, right? So it was surreal. It was
strange, yeah.
So many, and they're all candidates meeting. People were all piss and vinegar there, calling the police to throw someone out because
that was.
It was like, oh man,
yeah.
It's all degenerated, right? And it's all a dog and pony show. Nothing serious is discussed at any of those meetings. You get like 30 seconds to answer complex questions. And some people are morons and can't even say anything good in their 1 or 2 minutes that they've got.
Or the one Green Party guy.
That, as usual, you made the most sense to me, and you got universally booed.
Not always. Sometimes I got people to.
You got booed pretty well all the time.
Hey, you weren't there for my opening statement. My opening statement at that one debate was fantastic. I asked for the footage, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't find it."
Yeah,
sure.
I saw your entire thing at the one I went to. I think I went to 2 of yours, but that one at that church, that was something else.
I got claps in the opening statement. Okay, I did.
Yeah, but that's polite clapping. They secretly think you're a bad person.
Well,
it wasn't even that secret.
Well, it was on the news. It was in the news. It was so funny because the Communist Party candidate, I didn't think we were going to talk about this, but the Communist Party candidate in his opening statement, he's like, Toronto Star said this about the PPC. And I was just like, I've actually made YouTube videos debunking that article and how ridiculous it is. But it's nice that you're broadcasting it here. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, Marc Emery. Happy 420. Thanks for being the first ever guest on Quarantine Tonight.
Well, you know what? I'm healthy. We live in Canada. So there's some good things to think, I guess. But, cannabis legalization was such a fuck up, such a shit show, that it's sort of appropriate that by 2020, the 420 is turned into like a totalitarian, authoritarian pot nightmare. Because the whole legalization was a nightmare, and it's culminated in this horrific, awful 420.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see better days soon where we can, puff up outside in the sunshine. By July would be nice. I hope July isn't not like, not out of the cards at this point, but
just so you know, rapes and riots peak in
August?
Yes. So your idea of some idyllic summer months around the world when there's food riots and 35, 40 degrees centigrade temperatures boiling everybody's brain who doesn't have air conditioning.
Right. Yeah. People go crazy.
This is not a good environment for poverty, for food riots, for starvation, for economic dislocation, for unemployment at 20, 30%. Believe me, it's going to be a difficult summer this year.
Well, I'm so glad to hear, Marc, that you are, despite the situation right now, despite it not being the brightest, you're like, you know what? If I get a chance, I would like to run. I would like to make a difference. And that really is inspirational to me to hear, that you still have hope. You still have, energy to make a difference. Well, listen,
you should even have fun during the decline of Western civilization.
That's what we're doing
Otherwise,
here. This is
you can't get through it. You're going to have to find, if we didn't laugh, we would have to cry, is essentially it. Now, it's going to be hard to find the humor in other people's misery around the world when we see people going into poverty, when we see the poor rioting in countries all around the world, when we see infrastructure crumbling because there's no money to fix it anymore, when we see hospitals being underserviced because we're not collecting the taxes to pay for them, when we see our currency debased and inflated by printing up billions of dollars of money that, future generations may or may not pay back.
Yeah.
And we see our pension funds collapsing. So a lot of old people won't get money, won't get dividends, won't get their income they rely on. And there's just so many negative things going to happen. And we've never experienced them before. But I've read about them, and I had parents that went through them. And I grew up working at age 7 and having my first business when I was 9 and my first successful business when I was 11. So, I'm used to working all my life, and I'm used to seeing the benefits of what work can do. And I've also seen the ravages of what not having work does to poor people.
Oh, I'm hoping that people can unify in being, part of the group that is the last person to get the information. It seems that, most people are getting information that are going through so many different filters, and we just seem to be completely helpless. And I hope all these people that are feeling helpless right now realize that, we're at the bottom of the totem pole here in terms of getting the information, and hopefully we can hold those accountable that can help prevent this from happening again.
It's probably not happening as much as I wish it were. People probably aren't reading books like I would like to hope they are. We're all getting it through the screens, and screens are so superficial and brief and have a lot of ideology in it. Whereas
with the algorithm too, it's
may have
curated.
An ideology, but there's a substantiation involved where they have to produce evidence and facts and stuff to be convincing.
Read books.
I read 140 books in prison, and it was one of the great things that I was able to do in prison, along with learn a musical instrument.
With that, thank you so much, Marc Emery. Thanks for coming out.
It was a lot of fun, man. I love your campaign. I love the work you do on the video on YouTube. And I'm glad Maxime Bernier watches you, because you should be watched.
Thanks a lot, Marc Emery. Till next time. Happy 420.
Yeah, see you later, man.
Cheers. All right, in just a moment, we're going to have live music by yours truly. Stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.
We don't know, so it's a little bit of speculating, but that's, they are thinking those things, and sometimes people do play long games, as it were. 1-888-817.
Okay, folks, so this song I wrote, it's called 2020, and I wrote at midnight, as the clock struck midnight into the year 2020 is when I started to write this song. Simple bass line in my head. Didn't know those people were all dead. And the yellow vests kept marching. Hong Kong loudly screamed. But no one was really listening, 'cause it wasn't on TV. Ooh, can you trust it? Ooh, can you trust it? Welcome to 2020, bitch. Welcome to 2020, bitch, bitch. Where up is down and down is up. Guys can be girls, like what the fuck? Welcome to 2020, bitch. Paraplegic drag queens is what we worship. Refugees and celebrities, and we must believe all women. We feed kids drugs and hormones before they hit puberty. We buy wiretaps for our homes, 'cause we're sad and so lonely. Ooh, can you trust it? Ooh, can you trust it? You can't say Chinese authorities lied. You can't say globalists keep me up at night. You can't say Islam has a lot of problems. When someone cuts a clit off, you can't even comment. You can't say Greta seems to act really funny. Can't talk about Soros spending all that money. Can't talk about the royals or the pedophiles. Can't talk about the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds. You can't say most countries you would want to live were mostly developed built by European men. No, you can't say that. Definitely don't say that. No, you can't say that. Never ever say that. Welcome to 2020, bitch, 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 bitch. Welcome to 2020, 2020, where up is down and down is up. Pay the carbon tax, buy Chinese stuff. Welcome to 2020, bitch. Economy's in shambles. We can't leave our home. But Bill Gates will find a cure. Don't look away from your iPhone. The virus keeps on spreading. More mutations will evolve. And the bankers keep on banking and don't give a flying fuck at all. Welcome to 2020, bitch, 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 bitch. Welcome to 2020, bitch, bitch. Where up is down and down is up. Just stay inside, shut the fuck up. Welcome to 2020, bitch. And you can't say the Chinese authorities lied. You can't say globalists keep me up at night. You can't say Islam has a lot of problems. When someone cuts a clit off, you can't even comment. You can't say Greta seems to act really funny. Can't talk about Soros spending all that money. Can't talk about the royals and the pedophiles. Can't talk about the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. You can't say the countries that you would want to live were mostly built by white European men. No, you can't say that. Definitely don't say that. Never ever say that. You could probably rewind it back. Thank you very much. Thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Marc Emery, my imaginary friends, thank you so much. In just a moment, I'll be tuning into the lounge and hopping into the chat with you guys. I'll see you in 1 second. Stay tuned.
Talking about the suspicious suicide of some pedophile millionaire guy who's connected with a bunch of really powerful people, including a lot of different politicians, is so 2 days ago. Boring.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the very first episode, maybe the only episode, who knows, of Quarantine Tonight. I had a great time making it and filming it. I'm kind of tired out now. This is the lounge. Welcome to the lounge. It's me and my computer chair, but I like to call it the lounge because this is where we relax. This is where we chill out after the show. We get to reflect on the journey we've had over the past, little while in quarantine tonight, being stuck inside. What did we learn tonight being stuck inside? I will point out the obvious. Look at my neck beard. Look, it's taking on a life of its own. I was going to shave before tonight, but I thought maybe I can make a bit out of this. You know what I mean? Maybe I can make a bit out of this. But yeah, I mean, along with that, I've also been saving a lot of money on car insurance. No, I've been saving a lot of money on deodorant. I'm really not using it as much. I don't really see the point, if you know what I mean. Of course, when I leave the house, but it's been a while. I usually do grocery shopping once every 2 weeks, and then I try to get out. I try to get out for a run at least every few days. But I'm tempted to take a walk every day or something. You know what I mean? Because the weather's getting nice out there. But I'm going to get into some of the chats here. Some of the super chats. Thank you so much for donating. That's fantastic. Veterans Voice PPC 2019 says, Mark, thanks for your service. Okay. Oh, Mark. Yeah, Marc Emery, of course. Yeah, that was a fantastic interview with Mark. I can post the whole thing if you'd like. We did talk for a lot longer than that. He got a lot more into finances and other things. But yeah, I was going into the conversation thinking I want to make this positive. I want to have a positive spin on this. The whole point of the show is to make light of what's going on. And right away, he's just like, there's going to be sex robots. You're not going to be able to see your loved ones. This is the future. And not quite the content I was looking for the show, but I really appreciate the honesty. And you know what? He's right. He's right. He's got a point. And I mean, part of being positive is being realistic, right? Because if you're not being realistic, then what are you doing? You know, you're deluding yourself. And I did kind of mention it in that interview. I really think a lot of Canadians were in this kind of almost like a purgatory, or like this kind of suspended in air kind of place where we think things, May 1st, things will go back to normal, right? Okay, well, May 15th, things will go back to normal, right? Okay, well, June 1st, things will go back to normal, right? And yeah, I mean, part of me wants to think that. Part of me wishes that were the case. I wish I would love that. But again, we got to be realistic about this. Another super chat from Veterans Voice PPC 2019. $14. Thanks, man. Thank you so much. I know who you are. Great guy. You should check out his content, actually. Veterans Voice PPC 2019. He's got quite a story to tell, and he's, like everybody in chat, I'm sure we're all patriots of some kind. I know that's kind of like a dirty word in Canada, but it shouldn't be. And Veterans Voice says a positive out of the coronavirus for me is that most people are going to realize how important freedom and freedom of speech are. Yes. In order to be able to live the life that we want to be happy. I totally agree. Big agree there. I mean, I don't like to call like my friends normie friends. However, I feel like we consume different parts of news. We care more or less about, scrutinizing and holding leaders to account. And that's just the way it is. And, maybe normie is a bad word, but it's kind of easy to say. It's easy to kind of like explain, I guess. But yeah, I mentioned the soul searching in the interview with Mark. I'm not sure if I cut that part out, but I think a lot of people are at home kind of reflecting on, their value system, what they really want out of life. And I think specifically, especially for Canadians and Canadian politics, I'm hoping a lot of Canadians are kind of realizing how apathetic they may be or may have been. It was kind of, I've been on my political journey. I've been seeing, oh man, a lot of Canadians do not engage with politics beyond the headline. There's not much going on just beyond quite literally what the headline says. And if you know anything about media spin, that's not good. That's not a good thing at all. Thank you, Veterans Voice PPC 2019, for the super chats. I really appreciate it. And then we got $20 from Silverman and Buddy. Thanks so much, big guy. Yeah, guys, it means a lot. No more pogos for me. We're going to get the gourmet pogos. A friend of mine actually sent a message to me, a picture of a farm boy. The grocery store farm boy. It's kind of like a more like fancy grocery store. I go there when I can. Maybe I'll go with this $20. But he sent me a photo of farm boy corn dogs, or like pogos, same thing. And they looked pretty good. They looked a lot, because they weren't frozen, They were not frozen like the other persuasion. Let's keep reading through chat here. Let's see how you guys enjoyed the show. I'm still working out a lot of tech things. What is a super chat? Island Lover. A super chat is at the bottom there. When you send a chat, there might be like a little $sign somewhere, and then you click on that and you follow the instructions of creating a super chat of how much you want to donate and that sort of thing, which is fantastic. Again, I really appreciate it. Help support the channel, help support me. I would love to, pursue doing more stuff like this. And I mean, it's kind of messed up to say, But this lockdown has given me more time and almost doing creative stuff out of necessity. Because like being stuck inside, it's like, what could I do? What could I do in this whole this live streaming world? This live streaming world. But thank you so much for your feedback, guys. I did highlight a few chats from earlier. Again, Veterans Voice, PPC, non-political action by citizens in a democracy equals communism or fascism, because that's what you get if you don't stand up. And in many ways, that's why I ended up joining politics in the first place. I was tired of just being on Reddit and arguing with strangers and being upset about politics. I thought, maybe I can actually do something. Maybe I can actually make a difference. And then Max and the PPC came in along, and I thought, hey, what do you know? Island Lover earlier said, Mama Bear, I really hope everyone rises up. I'm nervous about it. Thank you for easing my worry a bit. It's really great to, in a sense, sometimes when we're online, it can be an echo chamber, but it's great to connect with like-minded individuals, that's what it's all about. That's what we got to keep doing. And quite frankly, based on the way money flows into the pockets of journalists and mainstream media outlets, utilizing social media and the internet is going to be our best friend. And so we need to, if we have boomer tech issues, we need to overcome them. We need to learn the softwares. We need to learn the hardwares, or reach out to people that do, because there's a lot of nifty things that you can accomplish these days with the internet and a little bit of know-how. But and speaking of which, actually, hello to Matthew Baguetta. He that's his YouTube name. He said, honestly, the only COVID updates I get are the daily Trump briefings and coffee with Scott Adams. That's it. I love Scott Adams. I don't watch his streams nearly enough. He's the guy that wrote Dilbert, but like really intelligent guy, and he's one of these people that is just, he has really articulate and very kind of calming takes on things that are going on. And yeah, Trump briefings. I feel, Matthew, what you just did here, I feel like it needs to be a rule. It should be a rule from now on. I'm making it a rule. In 2020, you need to tell me where you get your information. I don't care. I don't care if you're my parents, a friend, or whatever. I feel like that's really important it's pivotal information. Oh, well, I only get everything from the CBC. And it's like, okay, that's good information to know, because now I'm going to know a little bit more about your worldview. And on top of that, it's not just about knowing or wanting to know, but we live in such a crazy time. There's so many different feeds of different information, and knowing where your sources are is really going to be a game changer for a lot of people. So thanks for the chat, Matthew. Good to see you. Joshua H said earlier, problem is that we will be weaker immunity-wise. Isolation is what caused the native population to be killed by smallpox. I've heard about this. I don't want to call it a theory. It's probably, I would see why it makes sense, especially for a respiratory illness. The idea being that when we are cooped up inside in these little boxes, it's actually not good for our respiratory system, because we're being very, what's the fancy word? Not lethargic. Whatever the word is for when you're sedentary, when you're sitting around a lot. And also, I guess it's being cooped up inside helps a virus thrive, apparently. I actually, you know what? I think it was actually Marc Emery. I saw him tweet an article about that. A doctor basically saying, or some scientist basically saying, you know what? Being cooped up inside actually might help COVID spread a little bit more to our loved ones. So it's an interesting take. I think it's very valid being a respiratory illness. Island Lover says they skipped animal testing, which has never been successful in the past with Corona SARS, and they are rushing it. I think I said this up in my monologue at the top of the show. I really do kind of avoid a lot of the news headlines these days, and I haven't been looking into the vaccines. I've heard that there is a rabbit hole to go down. I never would have imagined myself ever even consider being anti-vax, as they say. But I guess only simply because of this strange lockdown that's happening, it has me like really questioning authority figures even more so. So I'm don't worry, I'm sitting on the fence. I'm not saying I'm like anti-vax or pro. Well, I would say most of the time I'm pro-vaccination. And this isn't an interview. I don't need to explain my views. What are we talking about here? Okay. Thank you for the comment, Island Lover. Linda Klimish. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Better reading books in prison than other alternatives. Sideways smile face. LOL. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Insert soap joke here. No, reading, man. Reading, absolutely. Absolutely. I find myself reading on this lockdown simply because I am tired of looking at screens, and it's kind of soothing. The paper, you feel it, and it's something you could hold on to, you know. I think we covered it really in the interview with Mark there. Okay, let me go back into the live chat here. Another super chat from Veteran's Voice. Encore. Thank you very much. I think this is something I'll try to do regularly. I mean, kind of do, you know, we'll see. One show at a time, one day at a time. But I appreciate it. Veteran's Voice, PPC 2019. Mama Bear says, beautiful song. Thank you. Yeah, I have a few crazy kind of songs like that I'd like to, that will be at the end of the show if I keep doing it. And so yeah, I appreciate it. Let's see here. The microchip freaks me out. Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. That freaks me out too. I don't want a microchip in me. More and more, I just crave fresh air. Silence, you know, living in the woods. Of course, I wouldn't want to live in the woods, but getting back to nature, you know, with all this locked up stuff, being locked up, it makes me think about how, do we really need all this convenience? Do I need to be able to watch sports as I walk into every single room of my house? All these things, convenience we don't need. Jim Cuthill says, hey, Jim. Canadians are sleepy and critical thinking is hard. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. They are sleepy. They are very sleepy. Critical thinking is hard, and I think I myself personally take that for granted. I went to a university program that's kind of like all about critical thinking, so I definitely think I take that for granted. And I really realized that during my campaign in the fall. But yeah, sleepy. I think there's a lot of. I've really been trying to delve into the psychology of Canadians and like what makes them tick. And I'm blessed having two loving parents who I think are almost like a good case study of the average boomer couple in Canada. And I'll tell you this story. When was it? I think I released this song called You Don't Care About Us. What was it called again? I did it during my campaign. It's kind of like a Trudeau protest song. Kind of a sad sounding song, but I wrote it back in like January 2019, so over a year old. And I shared it with my parents, like, hey, like, I don't like Trudeau. Like that. This is the song I made. And they're like, oh yeah, well, everyone criticizes Trudeau. Oh, well, okay, Greg, we don't want to hear that. These are my parents speaking. And then, a few months later, the SNC-Lavalin thing happened. And I'm on the phone with them like, hey, what do you think about the SNC-Lavalin? Oh, well, we never liked Trudeau. We never liked him. I'm on the other end of the receiver thinking like, did you just completely do a 180 on your opinion of this person? So that's what we're dealing with sleepy Canadians. And Mom and Dad, if you're watching, I love you guys. And Dad, if you're watching, stop watching CNN so much. I'm not going to say stop watching it, because I know maybe you're on the hook with them, but like, you know, just tone it down, please. Tone it down a little bit. I beg of you. It gives the word programming a whole new meaning. Let's see what's going on here. Mama Bear says, hi, Mama Bear. I think you said you saw my artist channel before. So big fan. Glad to see you out. I really appreciate your support. Mama Bear says, I mentioned it before you were here. I know libs personally, who knows tons of liberals, and none of them are willing to take the vaccine either. That surprised me. You know what's very interesting about this whole COVID-19 situation is it doesn't matter the political background. It's because it's this crisis, it has this sort of fight or flight response that we're getting from people. And it doesn't matter your political background, the way people are reacting are all over the map. All over the map. Someone you would never expect, maybe some, far left liberal, and they would say, we need to close the border. And, their opinion is just kind of like, whoa, like once it's fight or flight, it's, people respond in interesting ways. So it's definitely very fascinating to see, I'd say. Let's see here. Farm boy started in Cornwall, Ontario. Started in the farm. Now I'm here. Mama Bear says, get some flour and make your own. Homemade pogos are awesome. Pancake mix works too. Okay. Wow. All right. Might have to try that. That sounds complicated though. That sounds a little bit like that's a lot of steps. I just started to bake cookies for the first time. I can't believe how easy it is. I've been sleeping on that cookie game. It's incredible. Plus I get to make my own. These are such sweet comments. Thank you. Grizzly Patriot in chat. Heads up. Good to see you, man. Looking forward to Dr. V interview. Good luck. Second round. That is exciting. More talk about homemade pogos. Okay. Veteran's Voice says, sleepy Canadians and traditional liberals, along with the now progressive liberals under Trudeau, unfortunately, are hypocrites. It actually should be their motto. Yeah, that's such a... As I just said a moment ago, like the psychology, picking the brains of some of these people. It's hard. It's hard to wrap your head around. I tweeted the other day, and I could not believe I should make this part of a segment for the next show probably because it's such a ignorant and hateful tweet from some person who I'm guessing is part of that group, whether it's like a liberal or a progressive. And their tweet said something like, it was so basic. It said, all conservatives hate doctors and hate people with expertise. They especially hate women with expertise. And it's like, this is such a ignorant, sweeping generalization that is on the same level of like what real racism is. So, and the most messed up part about that tweet is it had like 2,000 likes and people just ragging on like, yeah, conservatives hate women. I totally agree with that. And it's like, do you guys not hear yourselves on how you're... Anyway, you know what? I'm not going to stare directly into the abyss, as they say. No more of that. No more of that. We're being positive on the show here. You know what? I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for watching the very first episode of Quarantine Tonight. I had a great time making it. Keep sending me your feedback. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at GDub with 2 Ds. So GDDUB. That's where you can find me on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe, of course, to the channel. A lot of good stuff on the way. You know what? I found some more free time recently, believe it or not. But thank you so much, my imaginary friends. That's just a cute nickname. Of course, you guys are... You mean a lot to me. You mean a lot to me. The fact that you support what I'm doing. It's we all need to support each other and give each other hope in these times. So thank you so much for watching Quarantine Tonight. And until next time, I love you all, and we'll talk to you very